Okay, so like I said, we're going to assess the damages here. Take a little peek at the monster. And yes, I had lost a couple of lights. Screws just came out, nothing major. They go here. No big deal. I got the screws here that go in the deal. So pop this off real quick. And I will show you just exactly what we got going on here. Obviously this came apart, which it had already broke once, and I just replaced it that day that this all happened. So anyway, I'll get this flipped up and see if I can get a good picture. But you can see those front two screws, they're just gone. They pulled out. I don't know if they pulled out or they just fell out, because this one here was just barely dangling when I noticed this whole mess. But if you get in here, you can kind of see, just here, kind of see up in here what I'm talking about. Flip this over a different way. You can kind of see how it's bent. Just right about here, you can see where it's bent, and it drops down away from the differential, which the way they brace these things, kind of goofy. I don't know if you can really see in there or not, but you can see where it pulled away. You can see the gap down in there from the diff. So the way they brace these, you know, I mean, I guess it works. I'd like to see something a little better, but I guess that's why they make aluminum diff housings. Which, this is your diff housing right here, and that contains, inside that contains the differential itself, which looks very similar to this guy right down in here. I don't know if I can get in there where you can actually see or not. But you got your gear that's back up underneath here, and you got your gears that are inside, and that just transfers either to the forward or the reverse, or the rear axle. And it does basically the same thing on the front. It's just inside the housing where this one is exposed, and then that all braces with this piece here, and then your chassis stiffener. So really the only thing that braces this whole front part is right here where it bolts down to the diff cover, the diff cover, and then down to the chassis. So if your bolts pull out of there, it's going to bend. And it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. And they did the exact same thing back here in the back. So everything's bolted exactly the same in the back. It's just a little bit wider and stiffer in the back than it is up front. So this pulled out, not a big deal. It just slides back in there, bolts go back in, and I don't know if it's stripped out yet or not. Like I said, I have not pulled any of this apart. This is the first time I've even looked at this since it all happened. But that's what we're going to get into. We're going to do a little teardown video and everything. But that'll, like I said, this is going to be a probably maybe a 3-part little series, and we're gonna roll with that. Do need to do a little TLC on this while we're at it. I need to clean this sucker up because I haven't touched it. I've just been so busy. So yeah, that's what we're gonna get into. But upon initial assessment, it really doesn't look too bad. I think we'll be okay. I do have whatever I did with it. I don't know, I just had it just a minute ago. But I do have a new diff housing if need be, and I'll swap that out. But I have a feeling that just the bolts loosened up, fell out. So my fault. I didn't make sure everything was tight. And you know, so something you guys should probably do is make sure that you maintain your rigs a little bit better, especially when you spend this kind of money on them. So other than that, you guys take a little peek at what we got here, just so you guys can see, if you haven't seen our other videos, what the inside of the Rovan looks like. Not a whole lot of difference between the Rovan and the Losi that it's modeled after. There's a few subtle differences. A few things aren't as good a quality, but no biggie. So anyhow, this is where I'm going to stop this one for today. So anywho, this is what we got going on. So once again, thanks for checking out Random RC, and how will you RC today? Rock on.